We're back. We're back.
Hey guys, Noel Lorenzana here, back with Tony G, aka Lus, on my live stream. Sorry for all the hiccups. I know you guys say it was a disaster switching streams mid-show, but
It was my idea, so it's not Noel's idea. It was my idea, so you can blame me. I thought it
yeah,
was.
I mean, I
Oh,
figured it
it was
was
a
the
good
best
idea.
way for us to both
Uh,
be on the live stream
yeah,
and uh,
thought it
to
was a
both
good
get a
idea.
piece of the pie here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. We appreciate it. We have 21 on the stream.
Oh, there's
Let me take
mercenaries.
a look at these comments real quick.
They want. Yeah.
GC GC says Darby, Liz, Alfred, etc. They are co-conspirators. Very well could be. Very well could be.
I would not put Alfred in that group because Alfred, he may have wanted to be, but they didn't let him be. They kind of just said,
Oh
Alfred,
yeah,
you
oh
go
yeah, yeah. Good catch. Alfred didn't even make it to L.A. He's
ahead.
lucky he didn't make the L.A. team.
He really wanted to go. You could out. I mean, Alfred at the time was all about hype. Remember, he was talking about NFTs and his, his swag and his like $2,000 jacket. He would have been perfect for LA, but they didn't let him go. So he's not. I think I put him in a different category.
Yeah, poor guy. He really had a blessing in disguise there. Count your blessing, Alfred. Okay, let's see. Somebody says YouTube. Hi, guess YouTube censors out all the links in the chat. Yeah, usually links go to hidden messages, so don't include links because it just won't show up. Sorry about that. That's just the way it works. Let's see. Merlin says, Noel, is he allowed to spend any of the money he receives from consignment agreements? Because technically, Anthony just was safekeeping the money except of his 5%. Yeah, I don't think he can keep any of the money. It's not his. I mean, if he doesn't remit the money back to the consignor, it's stealing, right?
So in sports cards, we have very similar. We have things happen all the time, exactly like Anthony. They're consignees. Consignment in sports cards, Pokemon Magic is everyday living, right? It's even more popular than, I mean, as popular as the watch market. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times, like a Mark's Cards, which I've made videos on, they're not supposed to. They're supposed to safeguard it, maybe put in escrow or something. But 100%, the reason that you're hearing about it today is there's no money left. That money is gone. If there was any money to keep drip feeding, so there's not any issues, right? Bob is not going to record him and make the video. He would have paid Bob his money. I fully imagine that after Bob released his first video, Anthony called Bob and said, hey, what does it take? And that's kind of the Sky Dweller, right? He offered him a Sky Dweller, kind of almost
Yeah.
exchange for silence almost. Oh, I can't pay you all everything, but here's a random dude Sky Dweller I can give you. If there was any money left, it would have been paid to Bob. Or at least offered.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel bad for the guys or gals who consigned watches and probably aren't going to see a dime or their watch back.
And
That's
it's
that's
not
that's
only
awful.
it's not only the loss of the watch, right? Like imagine, imagine the repercussions if you have a family and the wife, right? The wife's like, hey, that young couple, right? That wife probably didn't trust Anthony, probably has mentioned, hey, this is not safe. And then the husband does it anyway. Imagine the relationship right now when you have to tell your wife or a loved one or your child that you lost their college fund, you lost their, the baby fund, you lost
Yeah.
$400,000, which is life changing to buy a home. That
Yeah,
really could fracture.
yeah, these luxury watches, it's life-changing money for a lot of people.
Yeah,
It
and
really is.
it can break relationships very easily.
Yeah, most
Money is
definitely.
the number one reason people get divorces.
Okay, so Josh Nelson comments, sorry if you've already addressed this, but do you guys think that any of TPG's watches were stolen over the past few years? I'll let you start,
Oh,
Tony.
yeah. Yes. Just the way they
Do you
conduct
think?
business, the way that they conduct business. So here's the problem. And I actually iterated this problem very early on. When Marco loses a watch, they don't find a watch until they move out. There's no inventory management. They're keeping stuff on spreadsheets. No one knows who watch. What's his name? What was his name? The accountant name that like we love so much.
Mike Rudin.
Mike Rubin was paying people 2 times by mistake, 3 times. The problem is the structure of this company isn't organized. They may have had a watch, and until the consignee calls them, they didn't even realize that the watch was lost or stolen. So I could see initially, like if this was a small amount, if this was $100,000, I could see this just being a clerical mistake that no one was paying attention. Marco put the Rolex behind the counter and no one realized it was there. I could see them do that consignment piece. So the
right. If
processes are not in place.
Yeah, if Mike Rudin double paid on a watch, it wasn't due to his own neglect or something he did wrong. It's that their systems were not in place to prevent that from happening.
Exactly.
He's probably going off of spreadsheets, and maybe it wasn't updated, or Anthony said pay this, and Marco said pay this, and it gets paid twice.
It happened twice with 2 different clients. Remember, it happened multiple times in the same episode. I don't know if that was the same day or not. Tells me the system is not working. So I could definitely see like a stolen watch or 2. Like in a pawn store, they have to verify that it is not stolen. Otherwise, the police come in and they don't refund the pawn store. So I could definitely see a few stolen watches getting in because they didn't do the verification.
Yeah. So staying on the same theme, Anthony, in the recorded private call, said that he had never been robbed. He's too smart for that. So in light of that, were the other robberies fake? Was Marco set up? Was the Hollywood Hills LA robbery just a PR stunt?
Well, you know what the Reddit says, which again you can't take everything. They think it's Liz in like a wig, right? Like robbing Anthony. They have like an image of like Liz, like in a wig. And you got to take a look at it. It kind of looks the same. People are saying that it was Liz who staged the LA robbery, right? And I was like, because they have him on camera, right? Like hoodies. They said, I mean, it kind of looks like they're in TPG hoodies robbing themselves, right?
I'm gonna have to rewatch that.
Yeah, at this point in time, anything for PR, right? Remember, Anthony was so happy about the news coverage, and he has guard.
Oh yeah.
Hey, press back, right? He's got his I can't say, but the poo weapon, right? It's a press back, right? It's got a few. He was the happiest I've ever seen him when he was driving away. We're gonna get them next
exactly.
time.
And you know what, Tony? After people are robbed at gunpoint,
they're not happy.
They're shaken up. They're scared. They're fearful. They're in shock.
Best thing that could happen to me. He's got the people coming. He's on the news, right? I mean, I was like, this is like a really. I mean, my God, you were robbed at blank point, right? Like I mean, according to you, they had something pointed at your head.
Yeah.
While you were sleeping. And he was like, I thought that was Luis, or what was his name? Brian. He thought it was Brian. I thought Brian wanted to give me like a head touch or something. I was like,
right. And supposedly only a decoy watch briefcase was taken with no real watches.
Watch briefcase.
Yet there's $1 million reward to catch the guys. You never heard about it again.
I've never heard of a decoy watch briefcase. Have you? Because watches they weigh something, right? How can a briefcase full of watches, they're heavy, right? These are heavy metal pieces of precious metal. How would the robber not know, especially if they were a watch expert, that there were no watches in the briefcase?
Maybe there were super fakes, super clones, but even that, do you think any legitimate luxury watch dealer wants to be within 10 feet of a fake watch? I don't.
Let me tell you about one dude and the confiscated fake watch that he confiscated from an Italian couple. He said it was real, it's fake, now it's real again, and now, I mean, but you're right. Like, nobody wants to be in possession of a stolen or a fake or stolen watch, because then the premise is you have more of them.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Let's see what the skater reel. What's up? Both the TikTok victim and John Buckley have speculated that no way Anthony spent all that money. He's hiding money or watches somewhere. Great point, and I mean it's sound logic. What do you think, Les?
Well, that would take planning and foresight. I think we're giving Anthony too much credit because the typical criminal on TV, I would agree, right? But this is a criminal that's very emotional, and
Mm-hmm.
from the DUIs to the being in the backyard naked of that one person looking for her daughter, like nothing in this makes sense to me, and I do not believe Anthony's hiding the money. So I personally, this is my personal belief. I don't have any facts or opinions. Just from what I know about Anthony, I don't think he's smart enough to hide the money or watches.
Okay. For me, I think it's reasonable. I think a reasonable criminal, or well, let me not say reasonable criminal. I think a reasonable person in that situation would plan for a contingency and maybe not spend all the money, have a go bag, money stashed, watches stashed somewhere. Send some of it over to a crypto wallet offline. I mean, that's what I would do, and I think a reasonable person would do that. And Anthony's not, he's not a dumb guy. He's not academically educated, but he's street smart. So I wouldn't be surprised if he stashed some money away.
How much do you think he stashed? Just guess. Again,
I mean, if,
no one knows.
if we're talking a $5 million scheme, at least 500,000 to a million.
Okay, I could see that. I could definitely see that. Yep.
But who knows? We have no idea. Okay, let's see here. Laser Wolf says, Lus, can you speak to other cases like this and the criminal repercussions? A quick online search shows that this kind of grift isn't new and people have faced criminal charges.
Yeah, so it is very popular on YouTube, this type of scam where people give consignments or to give money. It's multi-level marketing in a nutshell, where you buy a business, you are hashtag boss babe, you own your own business and you're buying inventory. There are some companies which, if you mention their name on YouTube, they will kind of just shut down your YouTube channel. So I'm not going to mention their name for no else, because you're on his channel. But this is a very common scam. And consignees, if you do sports cards, Pokemon cards, but you know about this scam a lot because it happens a lot in the card industry where it's consignment. The reason that a lot of these people don't go to jail is because the victims are so embarrassed that they got taken advantage of. So whenever you have criminal repercussions, the prosecutor needs witnesses. They need victims. And it's almost like Harvey Weinstein, so on. You need the first guy to come out and say, I'm going to press criminal charges against Anthony. I talked to my prosecutor, and he's going to go get him. Then the floodgates open. But until the first person files criminal charges, in my experience, there are none. Like it takes time. It takes effort. Anthony's going to depose you as well. So anything that you've done that was kind of shady in the past, you can be deposed, right? Like it is a lot of times victims, they take it not because they like it, not because they're proud that they were scammed, but because they don't want their family members, they don't want it to get outside. And that's why when you look at Reddit, all these victims who are coming out are anonymous still. There's one dude who's not on TikTok, but every other victim is anonymous. And until one person says, I'm going to take Anthony, I've talked to my prosecutor, we are going to prosecute Anthony, then people do get away. I have seen people in the card industry get away with this exact scam, no criminal repercussions.
Wow. Yeah, somebody mentioned in one of my comments a similar scam in, I think it was LA, CNC Motors. The guy was pulling a similar type of like Ponzi scheme scam, taking money, not repaying people who he owed money to. And I think the dollar amount was even higher than the 5 million. I think I want to say it was 10. And nothing happened to that guy. He's free. He's free as a bird. Because apparently, I don't know the full story.
The way that the legal system works, there has to be a victim to come forward, right? Harvey Weinstein can do whatever he wants to whatever people, but and many times these victims are afraid of the repercussions, right? What is Anthony going to do to them when they do come forward and they do have their name revealed? And our legal system, I think, is very broken in that way, where it is 100% possible Anthony has no criminal repercussions, even though we all know he's guilty as hell, because there's no victim willing to do that process to put him in jail.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting. We'll definitely see. So Ron says, I'm sorry. Okay, Ron says, I bought from TPG several years ago when Marco and Anthony were together. The watch was 100% legit with card and papers, certified by Rolex. Yeah, I mean, they ran a good business when they were together. A smooth ship, fairly smooth operations. It looked good. It sounded good. Yeah, a little bit with the flashy spending, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people had positive interactions with them. And even with Grand Caliber, I think Grand Caliber is a stand-up company. I think they're trying to do their best in this down market. And I don't think you can say anything bad about what they're doing right now. I give them a lot of credit. And Jimmy steps up. He says what he needs to say. He interacts in that Reddit group in a very dignified fashion. So, yeah, a lot of people have had positive interactions with them in the past, but today is a whole different story.
Yeah, I think Marco got out while, I bet you he's thinking and shaking his head, because Marco getting out wasn't his choice. It was Anthony's choice, right? To go to LA and explore LA without Marco. Marco and the rest of the team, including Jimmy, when Jimmy got out, they're very blessed. I don't think they will have legal repercussions. I don't think anyone in Grand Caliber is on the hook. I do feel like Darby and Liz are in a much different position, as is Luis, Z, and the rest of the LA group. But yeah, I mean, I think Marco was legit, right? I mean, I think I don't have any issues with Marco.
Yeah, definitely. Can I play something for you? This was a little entertaining. I don't know if it's going to work here.
Yeah.
But where is this?
Oh, and let me respond.
Oh, okay.
Well, let me respond to your comment right now. Did you get into debt before your card shop closed down? No, because it's my reputation. So the same reason I didn't take PPP loans is the same reason I wouldn't declare bankruptcy or not pay my debt. You pay your debt to your vendors. You pay your debt to your employees. That's how you exit your business. If you say, I don't want to do a business anymore, pay everyone. They deserve the money. They've made the money. That's my opinion.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So we've got 91 people watching, and I think I said between 50 and 100
I think
viewers that
on your channel, but I thought
did I say 50?
100. Yeah, I thought you could hit 150.
Okay,
I did 150.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Let me play this TikTok video that somebody made, and I thought it was really interesting and funny at the same time. Hang on 1 second. Let me see if you could see my screen.
Yep, I can see it.
Okay.
Oh, yes. This is Jordan, yes.
Okay, check this out.
Why? I'm a scumbag because I don't want a fake watch to be passed around? I'm a con artist? I've lied to my employees, I've lied to my clients, I've lied to my friends, I've lied to my peers. Yes, it's true. I'm $5 million in debt. You know, about $3 million of that debt is to two big clients of mine.
So in case anyone was unclear on what we're talking about here, we're talking about Anthony Farron, the Timepiece Gentleman, owing $5 million to under 50 individuals and maybe 2 business entities. And it's a huge amount. He's confessed to it. I don't know.
I love this scumbag because he really does care about his reputation. He's like, remember to Z, am I a scumbag, Z? And he's like, oh, you stole my yogurt the other day, so I guess so. And like, no, I'm not. Like he really cares about what people think about. And I think this is what people love, because they love the reaction from him, right? So if he just didn't give a shit about what people thought about him and people couldn't get underneath his skin, I think it would be much, I think Reddit would be much softer on him, right? They were like, oh, but he lets he watches my videos. There's like a screenshot of like my video, a title of next to his FICO score. I was like, dude, that video just came out. Like, it just came out like an hour ago. And he screenshot it on Instagram. And I'm just like,
yeah.
I mean, it is, yeah, that was funny. And I think we're going to get even more funny. I think this could like blow even beyond the watch community. You know, like I said, like, it's just such a, you never see people admitting guilt this way. I mean, in that video clip, he just admitted something that like most people will never ever say, even in private, publicly, to hundreds of thousands of people, strangers online.
Yeah. I mean, this is all incriminating. I think
it is.
I mean, personally, I was always of the opinion, if you're guilty of something, you shut your mouth, because it can't help you.
Every lawyer will tell you that. Yes. Every lawyer said, do not speak. And that's why I don't think he spoke to a lawyer. This thing is just like out of control. Like, there's no way that he spoke to a lawyer and lawyer approved of him making that confession video.
Yeah, definitely. Let me put something else on the screen here real quick. Let me see if this works.
Unlike me, Noel spends time on these live streams. He's got power slides and oh god.
All right, here we go.
These guys,
Darby and Liz.
Oh,
so
man.
Darby came out with his response video, and I thought it was a mistake. He seems to think that because they're paid as 1099 independent contractors, that maybe they don't have, that employer-employee relationship.
Let me clarify that.
Liability that would go along with that.
It does not make a damn difference if he's a W-2 or 1099. It's just the intent and what he knows. A 1099
exactly
can run a business if they wanted to, right? In the shadows. It is what he knows. The classification as to what type of employee or vendor he was does not make a difference. Clearly, he's an employee. He's working. So you can be paid as a 1099. You might speak on this too, Noel, but you can be acting and behaving as an employee. All these videos indicate that these are employees.
Yeah, misclassification of workers is a huge thing with the IRS, and they don't care what you call it or how you pay somebody, whether it's a 1099 or under the table cash. If they can establish the employer-employee relationship, then you're an employee. It doesn't matter how you're paid. And
the legal relationship is, do you have to go to work every day? Is there your boss controlling your everyday activities? Does he tell you to ship this box? Does he tell you to film this? Are you going to like a physical location? Every definition of an employee, they fit under. In fact, they even moved. How many vendors do you know, Noel, who will move from Texas to California because they're a vendor, not an employee? Only really an employee would ever do something, because a vendor would just find new clients in Dallas. They wouldn't go with their one client.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. And you made a point, I think you made a point in your video, that if anybody has a case, although it's probably not a strong case, that they could be an independent contractor, it probably would be Darby, because he does his own videography work on his own, and he's not directed as far as how to do his videography job. Yes. But still, I feel that they're both going to be on the hook, and they're both going to have to spend a lot of money in legal fees. And you can obviously speak to this more than anybody.
So you know that they're on the hook because out of all the people we know, Luis, Z, Alfred, Marco, they're the only ones publicly saying that we went to a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And that lawyer told us X, Y, Z. And some of the stuff is not exactly correct in my opinion, but they are worried. And when people are worried and they go to lawyers, it typically isn't a good sign of innocent. When you need to go to a lawyer and ask, hey, am I liable for this criminal activity? That typically is not a good sign of what's to come later on.
Right. I agree. And I watched your video on that, and it did make a lot of sense what you pointed out. Maybe they didn't hire the best lawyer, or maybe it was a friend who gave him some free legal advice. But I personally think that Darby should have kept his mouth shut, because I don't think any of that would help his case in the future.
Well, their mindset, right? I mean, they were the first ones to make the video, right? The response. It was Darby, Liz, then Roman, then Grand Caliber. So their mindset was probably, we have a business, we don't have any clients, we need to get the clicks and the press. Their video, that video is the most watched video on their channel by a large margin. They're a brand new.
Oh, YouTube. Okay.
So I think there is marketing. So from a marketing perspective, it was a very good video. But from a legal perspective, I agree with you. It was a very silly video, right?
Yeah, definitely. So we've got a comment here from Tainami Rudinator Fire.
You know, like I think some of the comments, they want us to have guests on. I mean, we should really try our best. Like, if anyone knows any of these people, or if you yourself have been scammed and are willing to appear on one of our channels on a live stream, we can blur your face. I think Noel has the technology. I don't know how to do that, but
yeah, or you could just do audio. You can just turn off your camera, do audio.
I think that would be very interesting.
Yeah, 3456 says there's a sucker born every minute. It's more alarming how many people trusted him.
So this is, again, victim blaming. I'm not going to support victim blaming. Like, you don't know why somebody gave their watch to Anthony. You don't know their exact personal situation. You don't know if they asked Roman and Roman told them, or they asked Nico and Nico told them. You don't know why they gave the watch to Anthony. In hindsight, it's very easy. And this is exactly why victims don't come forward and don't sue or don't file criminal prosecution often.
And let me tell you, Tony, if in the past, I had a watch that I thought about flipping, I thought about calling TPG. I really did.
Exactly. You, Noel, right? With all the knowledge you have, in hindsight, it's really easy for you to be like, wow, that was crazy. But not everyone is watching YouTube videos. Not everyone's on Reddit every day. Not everyone's, I mean, his TikTok has 141 million views, and all of it is basically positive. So if your main source of media is TikTok, I can see how very easily, and the guy who got scammed, he was from TikTok. It's a TikTok video.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, pre-blackout, they were a legit company. You could look into their business via the videos. Everything looked up and legit. I mean, there'd be no reason not to trust them with your watch, honestly. I mean, now with hindsight, sure, it's obvious, but back then,
no. It's like, hey, I won the lottery. In hindsight, we can all win the lottery today. We just figure, go back in time. But I mean, people, they have reasons that they consigned their watch with Anthony. All their reasons may be different, but they had reasons.
So here with Popcorn comments, LOL, even if Anthony was given a gift of $5 million right now, he would probably still wouldn't do right by his consigners. Probably would instantly spend $500,000 on more Grant Cardone courses. I thought about that. Yeah, what if a white knight just swooped in and said, I like this guy,
$5 million.
$5 million is nothing. Let me bail this kid out. That could happen. It really could.
Do you agree with the comment? Do you think that he would just misspend the money, or do you think he would make everything right? Because that's a very interesting question. I don't think it's going to happen, but the question is, does he truly, if you gave him the opportunity, want to reconcile with his consignees and his reputation?
No, I think he'd spend the money. I think he'd be wasteful.
I think the money would be spent the next day.
He wouldn't learn his lesson. He wouldn't learn his lesson.
You know what he would buy? He would buy a Pagani.
probably a Lake Tahoe house and
Yeah.
everything else.
He
So,
buy
so
Ronnie.
yeah. So the slide I just put up, it's the Instagram of Anthony at the Grant Cardone event, boasting about what a $500,000 investment looks like. Now, I don't think he spent $500,000. He probably spent, 5 or 10 or 15,000 for him and his team. But yeah, this is crazy. What do you think of this? Did he really spend $500,000 with Grant Cardone?
So on this picture, he actually has the Richard Mille. You see in this picture, he's got the Richard Mille that was supposedly lost.
Yeah.
Right. So it's still on his arm. So just point that out. I think he may have spent it. It's over 2 years. And he has coaches, and Grant Cardone is not cheap. It costs millions of dollars for Grant Cardone to spend even 1 hour with you. It is very easy to spend other people's money. I can play it that way. So I think that there is a scenario where he did spend $500,000 for Grant Cardone because he felt like Grant Cardone would give him a shout. You know what Anthony loves most is social media, shout outs. Remember, even from the very beginning, it was it's Daniel Mack. Remember the Daniel Mack character in TikTok? That's how he remembers getting big, is getting a shout out. And then he gave Daniel a free Rolex, and then he got another shout out. So in his mindset, maybe $500,000 is not a bad investment for Grant Cardone to shout you out if that's what was part of the deal.
I don't think Grant ever shouted him out. I don't even think he got a picture with him that was posted on social media.
Nope, not even a picture. No, I don't even know if Grant was at the event, honestly. Not even a picture of Grant from the back, from the back of the room.
That's a good point. But for $500,000, Grant better pick me up in his Gulfstream over at a local airport here.
But that's you, right? What I'm talking about, this is Anthony. He clearly bought his Anthony account, right, from a guy in Italy or something. Nothing on his social media is real. So the 500,000, I mean, I would even go to say it could even be more money because they did pay Grant Cardone some money because they had the little workbooks, right? And everyone's working on their little workbook of how much money an employee makes per hour and how much profit margin. Remember, they were doing the workbook stuff after they got back from Grant Cardone. So they definitely paid some amount of money. And Grant, I know that his courses are just astronomically expensive. And if it's per person, then that's where maybe the $500,000 gets more reasonable. You divide it by the 12 people, and now you're paying $40,000 a person, like it's going to college, right?
Yeah, I know people who've paid $20,000 for one of his, 2-3 day seminars and weren't happy about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But Tainami comments, I think it's highly likely that Tony orchestrated both robberies.
Well, so
it's possible.
Let's talk about the Marco. What percentage would you your opinion, the Marco robbery, or it's orchestrated?
I would say 80% that it was orchestrated by.
I'm up with you. I think 80, 90, something like that, because Marco was set up anything. It was such a clear setup, right? Anthony did the deal, then his plane got delayed, and they need Marco to come there with Anthony's security guard, and they're going to meet Anthony's client, and he was, he wasn't actually part of the jewelry store, and they couldn't leave the jewelry. I think Marco made a devastating mistake. I know he said he asked the jeweler if he could put the watches in his safe, right? I mean, it's a jewelry store. They have a great safe. They have great insurance. You don't worry about that, right? And the jeweler said no. That should have been a red flag, right? As a professional courtesy, if I'm asking you, I have all these watches and stuff, I want to put in your safe and have dinner at a faux place, which is a cheap place, in my opinion, right? I don't know how expensive you get, but in my opinion, it's $10, $20. That's Marco's only mistake, I feel in that situation where there were many red flags that something was going to happen, and he ignored them. I would have not left a jewelry store if I heard that. If I heard, wait, you won't let me, even though you have this relationship, you're not going to let me put my watches so I can have lunch in your safe.
Yeah,
As a professional courtesy from one dealer. That would set red alarms like very crazy at me. I need to call the police. I need to get out of here right now.
Right. And they never caught the guys. There was no follow up. There was not another peep about the Stephen Tran guy.
What happened to Stephen Tran? Yeah. I mean, he was on Stephen Tran like anything for the 2 days. Stephen Tran. He's got pictures of him and accusations. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they disappeared. There was no more Stephen Tran. Yeah, they never found the guy, right?
Yeah, and no offense, but he didn't look like a guy that I would trust as an agent brokering this $1 million watch deal.
Yeah, the guy's going to buy $1 million, and he looks like that, right?
Yeah, he looked like some, 25-year-old kid off the street.
He is a 25-year-old kid off the street, yeah.
I'm stereotyping here, obviously, but I think I want somebody more distinguished looking, somebody maybe a little bit more professional looking. That's just me. It's $1 million.
Somebody in a tuxedo. One of the craziest parts for me as a marketer, how can your brand be a dude in a tuxedo with a gold watch, and then all your employees are just wearing hoodies? It drives me mad. It just makes, because how impressive would it be if you walked in the store, everyone was in a tux. They walk outside, they're in a tux all the time. I would be like, wow, that is a memorable brand. What is not memorable is a trucker cap, a bad hoodie with a logo of a guy in a tux. Like, this is unbelievable. Like, this is, and it's like, it blows my mind that somebody came out with this logo.
I love the logo. It's a great logo, but it doesn't match anything else that they do.
It doesn't match what they're trying to say.
At least wear, button down collared shirts or polos consistently across the board. I that's all they needed to do, I think. But that's all neither here nor there at this point. Oh boy. Let's see. What other comments do we have here? Michael Smith says 100% agree. Anthony didn't put anything away. He's too narcissistic and always thought he'd dig himself out. So he agrees with your point.
I got it. Michael comments on my videos, and I think we think alike, and I agree. He, even today, he believes he can dig himself out of a $5 million hole, right? I have to watch the video, but that seems like the gist of the video, right?
Yeah. The Skater Reel comments, who remembers when Anthony was relieved when he lost $800,000 on breaking the penthouse lease?
Oh, good time. We have so many funny moments of this whole series. Yeah. I have never heard somebody say, I lost $800,000. I feel the most relief I've ever, this is I guess if it's not your money.
Yeah, if he was on the hook for, 1.4 million and he got away with 800,000, maybe he came out ahead. That's how he was thinking about it.
That penthouse thing, it just, some people said, oh, he only rented it for a week. It was like, but the reason I think a lot of this stuff has to be true, it would be so stupid of him if it wasn't true. Like, everything he does at such an extreme level, like the penthouse, where instead of renting a nicer apartment, instead of moving to Crescent to a reasonable building, it's like, we gotta build a $2 million, double 2-story fish tank. I do not know if he's actually delusional. Yeah, the furniture. Peter was talking about the furniture and stuff. It was going to be $500,000 in just rented furniture. And then he was going to build a gym outside where people would pay him to go use the gym. It sounds so. And then you would tell him, you would text him your favorite color, and then he would have a drink ready for you of that color. This is what a poor person, a broke person, thinks rich people act and behave. So actually, no, this is actually smart. If you can let me go on a tiny bit, I think that's what it is. Now that I think about it, talking to you, This is exactly what a poor person would do and think would make him wealthy and accepted with rich people. The colored drinks, the the gym outside, the influencers, the skateboarding inside. Like, this is exactly what somebody with no money would behave when given money. If if you took a homeless person and they won the lottery, I think they behave exactly how Anthony behaves. Buys Lambos, G-Wagons, eats $20,000 dinners, buys a bunch of Rolexes on, gets a tattoo, right? A fancy tattoo, cuts lines, right? He paid $100 to cut a line for a sushi place because he didn't want to wait. This is exactly how a poor person, a homeless person would act and behave if they won the lottery the next day.
That's a very good point. And we know from those police reports that he came from humble beginnings, let's put it. So he probably does have that, poor person mentality ingrained. And I mean, that's neither here nor there, but I see your point. That makes very good sense. Makes a lot of sense. Hold on, I'm trying to get this other comment I saw, but it's gone now.
You know how I can identify when like something is sarcasm? When they use the word tugger. The tugger is a marketing genius. Then I was like, oh, sarcasm.
Yeah, those are kind of interesting and fun at the same time. Ed French says, I'm a massive fan of both of your channels. Lus, your constant commitment is admirable.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah, thank you, Ed.
Yeah, Lus, your commitment is very admirable. You put out several videos a day and you've stayed on them like a pit bull on a piece of meat.
Yeah, I have probably made the most videos, and I mean, it's so entertaining that like you can't stop. And people ask, oh, if I'm a lawyer, why do I have all this time and blah blah blah? It's like, I made a lot of money. I'm obviously into cards and other hobbies. I don't work like as many hours as the average person works because I don't have to. I think, Noel, you're in kind of a similar situation right now where you work when you want to work. That's kind of where I am right now. And if this is more entertaining, then yeah.
Yeah. One guy commented, shouldn't you be doing CPA work? How do you have time to watch all these videos? They
comment all the time on mine. And so imagine how much they comment on my videos, that exact comment.
Exactly. It's one of those things I'm going to watch the videos anyway because it's interesting to me. And, I get my work done and I work for myself so I can pick and choose when I work and who I work for. Yeah, and it's the summer. My kids are home. I took them to the park today. I took it easy. I'll do some work tomorrow and this weekend. But for the most part, I'm like you. I'm not independently wealthy or anything like that, but I do have the convenience to work when I need to work and want to work.
Yeah, and people, they always say like, oh, shouldn't you be doing all this stuff? It's like, you watch my effing video. I'm going to speak to myself, Noel. It took me, if it's a 10-minute video, it took me 10 minutes to make the video. There's no editing, there's no script, there's nothing. It's just me, like, and many times it's not even my face. It's just like a screenshot. Like, it's the same screenshot from the previous video and the previous video. So like, it actually does not take me longer than 10 minutes to make a 10-minute video.
Exactly. The one I filmed that I released earlier today, that's gotten over 10,000 views. It took me about 20 minutes to set up and film it. And I sent it to my editor. I just gave him some guidance. And I did have to, put together the audio clip because I had to clean up and edit the audio clip because I wanted it, I wanted it cleaned up so you could actually hear it because some of the other versions, it was hard to hear. But yeah, it doesn't take too long. Once you have
my version of audio.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't hear anything. You need a new mic.
Exactly. I mean, so ultimately, once you get the process in place, it doesn't really take that long to make videos. And people think we're doing this for the quick buck.
We're doing it for the money. There's no money in
I don't know about you. Yeah, exactly. For me, there's no money. There's no money in this.
Like
YouTube doesn't pay. I mean, I just want to build and grow my channel because
does he have another video out, or are they talking about, is Eduardo talking about the previous video, or does he have another video out today?
He has a new video out.
That would be crazy if he made a second video. I mean, that would be crazy. But I'm guessing that it's probably the video that you refer to.
That's crazy. You know what? Let me go to his channel real quick and see if he does. No,
I think it's just his regular video. How am I going to solve my $5 million debt? I have not watched that video yet. I've been working.
Yeah. That's the latest video. How I'm going to solve my $1 million debt.
So there's not like another video. Okay, I assume that there was another. Eduardo was talking about maybe a video dropped while we were live streaming. That would have been crazy. Hey, that's an interesting one. Hey, have you seen that one where plot twist? Lus is Anthony's attorney and Noel is his CPA. That would be the craziest plot twist. That would be. This is so funny to me.
Here with the popcorn, but you know what? He did reach out to me after Blackout 1.0 and said he'd love to chat more and see how I can help them improve their systems, because I kind of went through and highlighted some internal control weaknesses.
What if you accepted the offer and you were his CPA right now? How much trouble do you think you would be in not identifying $5 million of missing money at the year's end?
Oh boy.
How damaging to your reputation and your business would this be? I think it would be
I'd probably lose my license. And I'd probably be facing some jail time.
Yes, I know. I mean, it is thank God.
Just having your name on the tax return, I mean, you've got liability for that.
You sign your name on the tax returns, yeah.
Exactly. And speaking of tax returns, I'd be surprised if he's current on his tax filings. I would be very surprised, because there's no way that you can keep track of their business transactions with consignments, trading these 2 watches for that watch, and properly tracking and remitting sales taxes. There's just no way.
So you know what? He may not be got by the criminal attorneys, but the IRS might get him. It's like a whole Al Capone thing where no one can get Al Capone for murdering these people. That was so obvious that he murdered them. He bragged about it, Al Capone, but they got him for taxes, and they put him in jail for a long time because of taxes. This might be one of those situations where he literally gets away with it, but the prosecution knows and researched it, and now the IRS is coming after him.
Yeah, definitely. Sooner rather than later, I would imagine the IRS is going to come after him, or the California Department of Revenue, because there may be a lot of unpaid taxes or unfiled tax returns.
And the government always gets his money. You don't need to worry about the government. They will always get
they want their money. And can you imagine the scope of money we're talking about? If we're talking about $5 million
on 30-40%, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a huge amount. It's a huge amount. So Peter Cheng asks, who is a Chinese guy working for Anthony? I believe you're referring to Z.
He's been MIA no longer for the last 3 months. People speculate that he was the one selling the stolen watches to the Chinese market, which actually kind of makes sense. So the consignees are all Americans, right? They give all the watches to Anthony. Anthony then sends them off to Z with China. That's a very good way to move the stolen merchandise to a different country.
Yeah, that very well could be the case. That very well could be. Z was smart to get out when he did. Well, no, I take that back. He got out fairly recently. He wasn't on video, but I think he was still lingering around.
He was lingering around. Yeah, he was in the shadow of those videos. So maybe he didn't want to be like a main side character anymore, but he definitely was in the videos.
Yeah. So Merlin asks, he sent this a few times, so I'll go ahead and read it. is it a criminal or a civil issue if you spent the money from a consignment contract?
It's both.
Civil or criminal?
It's both.
Potentially both. Right.
Like OJ, they didn't get him for the crime, but they got him in civil court. And they now own everything to OJ. So people don't understand. Like, you don't have to do one or the other. You can do both. And in fact, it's a lot easier to do the criminal, see how the criminal goes, because it's a higher burden of proof. If the criminal goes right, then you just say, oh, well, the civil has to be this way. He owes me money. So many times you do both. Like in OJ, if you can't get them for criminal because the burden of proof is higher, you get in civil.
Okay, so criminal is beyond a reasonable doubt, and civil is, preponderance of the evidence or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. It's over 50% that it happened.
Over 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, they could get him either way. They could get him
both. You can be liable both ways. You could be criminally liable and civilly liable.
Yeah. Yo-Yo Watches says, Lus, love your content.
Thank you.
And he follows that up with, do you think that Marco's robbery was fake as well? Did you answer that? I answered it. I thought it was 80% fake.
I think I said I agree with you. I agree with you.
80% setup. 80% setup. I think he really got robbed, but I think it was a setup.
So I think the term that we used wasn't that it was fake. We both agreed. I think Marco believes he was robbed. There's no doubt in my mind. So this is a slightly different take on the same question. Was Marco in on it, right? I don't think so. I think he was unnerved like crazy from the phone calls. He was very, stressed out. You could hear from his voice. He wanted to come home right away. Like, Anthony was, just stay an extra day in the hotel. Don't worry about it. And Marco, no, I got to come home right away. Oh, I'll pick you up. No, I'm having my friend pick me up. You could tell that he was actually legit. So I don't think Marco knew. I mean, if it was a fake robbery, there's no way Marco knew about it.
Yeah, he was shaken up like a normal person would have been if, in fact, they were robbed or held up at gunpoint.
And you compare that to how Anthony was robbed at his apartment,
Hollywood Hills,
and how he dealt with it, where he had a bodyguard say, "Keep the press away, keep the press." Oh, hey, now I'm going to interview and drive off. He was having the time. Somebody who's been robbed, I think, would respond the same way Marco would respond. Not the way that Anthony responded. Especially, using guns, right? I mean, it's very scary. Like, we can imagine ourselves, right, being in that situation at night. I think actually Anthony's situation is much more scarier. They're in your apartment at night with
you're sleeping.
Like you're sleeping. I mean, and you wake up and you see this thing, like, and then now you use it as a marketing opportunity. Like, who does that? Like, I mean,
okay. So Hollywood Hills, the LA robbery, do you think it was fake?
Yeah, I think it was fake. I think it was Liz in a wig.
I too think it was probably fake. I'd give it like a 90%.
I would say 90%. Yeah,
on the scale there.
You never know; anything's possible. But it looked. Hey, you got is that a $20 super chat? I don't know.
Oh yeah,
it is, right? I've never seen that color before.
Oh, thank you, Emilios Man. $20. Thank you very much. What did he learn from GC? And that must be Grant Cardone. What did he learn from the Grant Cardone sales training?
Well, he learned how to create a Watch University and charge clients a ton of money for Watch University. That's what he learned. Oh, yeah, you have it right here. Yeah.
Watch University. That's a good segue for this. It's still up on his website, and you too can learn how to be a watch flipper for a low cost of $2,500.
Oh, okay. Now, there's no discount anymore. Okay, the discount has been lapsed.
Yeah, no more early bird discount. It's $2,500. You can still buy into it, but the problem is, I don't think the course is ever going to be built out beyond what's already there.
Title: Learn from a dealer who has $5 million in debt and starts this week as little as $5,000. You can change the 31 million in revenue because that number doesn't matter anyway, and put $5 million in debt.
Exactly. And think about it. Anybody who bought the course, I would call your credit card company and ask for a refund because it's
Charge it
probably
back. Charge it back.
It's probably still within the whatever time frame. Maybe it's 90 days for a refund.
Yeah.
I would definitely.
Credit card chargeback is up to 6 months, so they got time.
6 months. Okay.
Yeah, you probably do it right now. I mean, he's not going to contest it, not in his current state. But the question is there any money left, right? You can't charge back a account that doesn't have money in it. The Visa needs to take the money from a bank account somewhere.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, his big trump card is he doesn't have any assets or money. You can charge him back all you want, but if Visa's not going to hold the bag for you. The last thing Visa wants to do is charge back and not be paid, right?
Right. I mean, it's still worth a shot, though. If I were a Watch Dealer University course buyer, I would definitely ask for
if you are okay. I'm gonna blame the victims a little bit. Okay, this specific category of victim. If you are a Watch University course victim, you have other problems in your life that you need to take care of right now. If somehow you fell for the Watch University course, you have big problems. Problems.
But in their defense, if they found him through TikTok, and they're looking at the flashy things, watches, cars, dinners,
the consignment,
I could see how they'd get duped.
I think the consignment I get, but why would anyone want Anthony? Like it just, it's so much money. Like it's so much money for any course. Like if you want to take a course to learn video editing, it probably costs you $20, right? Or you could watch a YouTube channel for free.
It's free on YouTube.
Amount of money for like a Watch University course is just like, I don't know what the course would have to offer me that would make it worth it's a lot of money for any type of course. So I think the Watch University people, I would put them in a different category than the consignees.
Yeah, definitely. Check out this slide here. This is in reference to the Hollywood Hills LA robbery. And does Anthony look like he just got robbed here? It's cut off, but he's showing off his watch.
Yeah, I use this image sometimes because it's so smug. I didn't realize it came from the robber. Okay, so Noel, I gotta go to walk my dogs. I have a lot of dogs. Do you want to wrap this up, summarize it in the next 5 minutes? And I had a good time. Maybe if you guys like the live stream, maybe we can do another one. Do you like the format? I like the format of this. I think it was good.
Yeah, I like the format. You mean with the slides and the comments?
1 hour and 1 hour.
Yeah, that's fine with me. If you want to do that again in the future.
I thought that was good.
What's that?
I thought that was a good.
You thought it was good? Yeah. I thought it was good too. We got a lot of viewers on your channel. I mean, if you can find a way to put the comments on screen selectively, I think that would maybe help on that end.
No. Or we get interviewees. We've been a lot of you guys don't know this, but we've been talking about like different interviewees. And can we disclose who we were going to have before he said no?
Yeah, we could talk about it. I don't recall.
You were going to have on your channel. I wasn't going to be part of it, but this individual has his own stream.
Oh, Watch Nicholas. Yeah,
I was supposed to have Watch Nicholas on.
I was supposed to do a live stream with Watch Nicholas. I was trying to get you on also, Lus, but it didn't work out, and I had a conflict that I forgot about, and I had to cancel it, and I apologize, Watch Nicholas, for that. But that would have been cool. That would have been interesting. I've invited other people. There was that character Presley who had the restraining order against Anthony. He had a bad deal with
Francis. I have
Francis,
my own. Yeah, we talked about Francis. Yes, he would have been an interesting character. Like now that everything is kind of included, I think this is almost like let's bring everyone on from Reddit, from whatever. If EA, I told EA, I actually texted them, the EA guy on Reddit, hey, like the main guy kind of driving Reddit. Hey, I'll be happy to have you on if we had to voice auto change, whatever it takes, like just like getting the bigger names on. But yeah, I would have loved to have watched Nicholas on that one time. I thought it was happening, but maybe we offer him again. Hey, it'd be good for his stream. It'd be good for us, and it would be interesting to talk. I know he's not my biggest fan. I get comments all the time that, oh, he's talking about it. But at the same time, hey, it's been long enough. Differences are differences. And, I'm sure that we're different people from who we were when we first interacted.
Yeah. Bygones, right?
Yeah, bygones, especially now.
Yeah, if anybody, wants to join us on a live stream, just send us a message. As long as you have something interesting to contribute, I think we'd be happy to have you. If you're a consignor or had a bad deal or even a great deal with Anthony,
we will invite Anthony. I mean, why go for the second? Why not have Anthony on the live stream? Anthony, if you want to save your reputation, you want to pay people back. What better place to have two of your biggest critics kind of roast you a little bit and see if you are, legitimate about your. I have to watch that video. I have not watched that 7-minute video, so I have to see what he's talking about. But
it's interesting. Let me just read this last comment from William. He says, it's amazing with the amount of people that have been screaming fraud for so long on him, but still people got scammed. Yeah, I mean, it's been going around for a while.
One more comment from George, and then I think I'm going to peace out.
Oh, George, $4.99. Thank you so much for that. Let's go for a beer. Let's go for a beer.
Talk about the Redditors all getting together, and all, having a meal together. And it would be so interesting to see like how old they look, what races they are. And like, just like people like you have seen, right? Like, EA I've seen for a while, and he only reached out like relatively recently, but like, maybe a few weeks ago. I'm just kind of curious who all these people on Reddit are in real life, right? Because like our faces on plastered everyone on YouTube. I always think it's very unfair that like we have to kind of take the the criticism because it's our face, right? But it would be interesting to see like who these Redditors are. And in my personal experience, when I've met people online, they're always nicer online than they are online. They're nicer in person than they are online.
Yeah, most definitely. It's easy to hide behind a computer and be a keyboard warrior. But
they say,
I don't know.
We need a convention, a TPG convention.
Yeah, I don't know if that ever happened. I think Redditors prefer their anonymity, but who knows? If there's a local meetup, send me an invite. I may or may not show up. But Tony, thank you so much for doing this live stream today. It was a lot of fun and informative. And whenever you want to do it again, just let me know.
Yeah, let us know in the comments below if you guys enjoyed it. And I mean, remember the reason that we didn't do a live stream before, because we were like, oh, the content's kind of dry. It's kind of, as soon as this popped up, me and Noel, we just text each other, hey, this got to happen. Like, it's sometimes the content is so damn good.
Yeah.
That this was set up in a day, which is pretty good, impressive, like in my opinion, right? I mean, I had to we just OBS. I had to re-upload the code. I mean, sometimes the content is so obvious that like there's no question that it has to be made.
Yeah, we were just messaging each other last night at about 8:00. Yeah, it's crazy.
Not together, and we did the live stream.
Yeah, real quick, Brian says this would be the TPG Reddit con we've always needed.
I think I think it'd be great to have like everyone in a room. It's like my favorite TV show is The Office. I mentioned this reminds me of The Office a lot. At the very end of the series, they have this like PBS special where it's all the characters and they're all talking about each other. It's all the fans. I think they could be like something like that where there are fans and then there's like the big like Redditors like the EA and other people, right? And then us, right? And then Anthony comes in. And I think hey, you know what? We could fund it we start a fund, and all the money
Crowdfund.
we collect from this convention will go back to paying consignees.
Yes, interesting. That's an interesting thought. And along the same lines is I'm thinking Netflix documentary, and then after the episodes or after the series is finished,
here's something I'm going to say this right now. If we get a Netflix deal and I get paid, I will give every penny to the consignees who haven't been paid yet. I don't know what order. Maybe I'll give them like a percentage equally, but I will be on the Netflix documentary. I will take the payment they give me, and I will publicly refund all the consignees that can prove that they were consignees.
Yeah, that's generous. I could get behind that if it ever happened and they wanted me. I don't know why they would, but yeah, I would offer the same offer that you've made to the consignees. I think that'd be very nice and very generous.
Every single guest, like a Roman, if he was a guest, I think everyone would, if everyone started agreeing to it and we all took the money that Netflix gave us, I think it's $5 million is a lot of money. The investor's not going to get the money. Let's just call it $2 million of consignee watches. I think they would get $1 million back, which is 50%. It's much better than zero.
Yeah, if it ever happened, I agree. I think that would be great if everybody contributed whatever their revenue less their out-of-pocket expenses, because there would be out-of-pocket expenses because you'd probably have to travel for that maybe. So yeah, I mean that's a great idea. I could totally get behind that.
That's a great idea. Yeah, it's actually, now I think about it, it's probably the only way these guys get paid is that if there is a Netflix and the Netflix somehow because in Fire Festival, what happened was there was a Bohemian woman who was very nice and she fed everyone and she was massively in debt. They started a GoFundMe for that woman, and she raised all the money she ever needed.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. If this goes
on Netflix, it's going to be so popular. It's going to be so big. Like, it would be so... If this gets big on Netflix, the money that we can raise from just even people out there would... I mean, I think we could raise the $5... I don't think the investors should get their money back. That's an investment, in my opinion. You make an investment, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. So I think the $3 million, but the $2 million, I think we could go fund me that if this truly became a Netflix documentary.
Yeah, interesting. That is a very interesting concept. I love it. I love it.
All right, Noel, gotta walk the dogs.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Tony. Everybody, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate spending your time with us, and we'll see you in the next live stream. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Bye, guys.